Hi, hi guys. Sorry. What a bad day of connection for me. Okay.
It's okay.
Yes, I have had one more day with connection. I had to restart the router to even get it to connect. I have no idea what's going on. All right, let's continue. We're on page 248. Okay. Let's go down the list. Who read last? Hamza. Okay, Iyad, your turn.
Yes, Miss Amanda.
Can you read for us, please?
Okay. As a mini, we
We're on page 248. Okay, honey?
I know. It's just hard to read.
You're supposed to be reading from your book.
Yeah, it's actually from my book.
Why is it hard to read, honey? It says he ran again. Do you have the page yet?
Yes, it's 268.
No, honey, we're on 248. That's another story that you're in. Okay, I'm gonna mute you and go on to the next person while you find the correct page. Okay, Jada.
Hey, Miss Amanda.
Go
Miss
ahead,
Amanda,
dear. Read for us, please.
can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
honey, I can hear you. Go ahead and read.
Okay. He did that a bit of schooling, yet
That's
he
the page we're on, honey. What page are you on?
243.
We're on 248, sweetheart. You guys have got to pay attention to what page we're on and keep up with us, okay? It's really important so that you're ready to read when you're called on. Jenna?
He ran again. This time he won.
Hello, Jenna.
He ran again. This time he won. He ran 3 more times and won. He became his sons praised honest old Abe, the lawyer, who was never known to lie. He didn't like the nickname Abe, but it stuck. Resolve to be honest at all events, and if you cannot be an honest lawyer, resolve to be honest without being a lawyer. Choose some other
Occupation.
occupation.
Occupation means another job. So he ran again and he won the election this time. He ran 3 more times and he won. So he was on the state legislature for many years. Excuse me. He became a lawyer and everybody talked about how honest he was, what an honest person he was. And this is something that lawyers are known for not being very honest. They do whatever it takes to get their clients off from whatever charge it is that they're facing. So he was rare. Most lawyers would do anything to win a case, but Abe was always honest and he did the right thing. And so he would say that if you can't be a lawyer and be honest, then you should get another job. Okay? All right, next page. Thank you, Jenna. Next page. Jada and Iad, I'll come back to you. Please be ready when I do. All right, Jumana.
Nearly 4 million black men, women, and children were uh, enslaved in southern states. Lincoln thought slavery a great evil. If he became a United States senator, more people would hear him speak against it. In speech after speech, he reminded people that slavery did not fit with the ideals of the
Declaration, yeah.
Declaration of Independence. As a nation, we began to declare that all men created equal. We now practically read it. All men created equal, except Negroes.
Negroes. Okay, so Abraham Lincoln wanted to become a senator because he felt that he would reach more people than just working on the state level. So he had aspirations to be something bigger so that more people could hear his message. Remember, I told you that when he saw the Negroes chained together 6 and 6, that it affected him. He was so upset by it, he began to speak every chance he got about how this country was not living fairly, that the Declaration of Independence, the paper that was written when they started the country of America, says it begins with the word, all men are created equal. Okay, and they are now acting and they're living a practical life that all men are created equal except Negroes, and they're treating them differently. Okay, so this bothered him greatly, and he spoke about it every chance he got, which was not popular with some people, we're about to find out. Okay, all right, thank you, Jumana. Moaz?
Yes,
Can you read, please?
he lost children, but again, his words got much attention. People felt the smoke from his heart. In the next 2 years, tension over slavery grew between the South and North. Lincoln ran for president and spoke out against the evil practice. He won this election, but a month
Okay,
before he took
let
office,
me let me explain this part in 1 second, Moaz. Okay, so remember I told you he wanted to run for senator, but he lost the election for senator. So in the time that this was happening, over the next 2 years, people began to fight. The people in the North said that the slavery was not okay. The people in the South still wanted slaveries to be able to use them to work on their cotton farms. So Lincoln ran for president, and his platform, what he spoke about, was that he wanted to end slavery, that slavery was a bad thing. He spoke out about how it was evil to treat people like they were something that you own, that these were people just like we are people. And so he actually won the election. All right, what happens after he wins this election?
but a month before he took office, 7
Wait,
southern
Moaz,
states.
Moaz. Thank you, Moaz. I'm going to let Mohammed read now. Thank you, honey.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello.
Go ahead, Mohammed.
But a
Guys,
month before,
1 second, please. When we are reading and I call on you guys to read, don't stop to say hello. Just continue the story. We're supposed to be focused on our story, okay? Go ahead, Mohammed.
he took office, 7 southern states left with onion
Left the
They-
union.
union. They formed their own government with address. Lincoln reminded
Wait, honey, you're skipping lines. With their own president.
with their own president in his first
Inaugural.
and inaugural address. Lincoln reminded Americans that they were one people. We are not enemies but friends. We must not be enemies.
Okay, so let's explain what happened. So he ran for president and he won. But because the people were fighting over the slavery, the people who were against slavery were with Abraham Lincoln and they supported him. The people who wanted to keep slaves were against him. They opposed him. Okay, so they separated from the union of all the states together. 6 states left the union and they took a new president for themselves only. And Abraham Lincoln was actually the president of all of the United States, but these people left and began to fight against the government. Okay, so Abraham Lincoln, in his first presidential address, it's called inaugural. Inaugural means when you first become the president, it's called your inauguration when they make you the president. So the first time he spoke as the president, he spoke out against slavery and said, we cannot fight amongst ourselves. Remember, he said in the beginning how he remembered that someone said to him, a house divided cannot stand, so that if the states are separated, they cannot stand as one and be strong. So he spoke out and tried to get them to stop fighting amongst themselves and to be friends, not enemies, okay? Because right now they're fighting between each other. All right, let's go ahead. Let's see. Yeah, do you have the page now?
Yes, Miss Ma'am.
Go ahead.
Okay. Families were torn apart as husbands, fathers, and sons went off to war. Many never returned.
Okay, that's not where we are.
On April 12, 1861, Southern troops attacked Fort Sumter, a federal fort in South Carolina.
Carolina.
Lincoln knew he had no choice now. The North had to fight the South to bring it back into the Union. I hold that union of these states is perpetual. No state can lawfully get out of the Union.
Finish the page yet.
Families were torn apart as husbands, fathers, and sons went off to war, many never to return.
Okay, so the South began to fight. They began to fight with the North. They attacked one of the North's strongholds at Fort Sumter. This is an army base, and they attacked it, trying to take over it because it was in the South where they were. Okay, so Abraham Lincoln had no choice but to fight against his own people. This is what we call a civil war, when people within a country start to fight with each other. So he had no choice but to fight back. And he declared that it's when you're part of the Union, you cannot leave the Union. All the states are joined together and you cannot separate. And so he fought to bring them back into the Union. So families were separated as people went off to war because they are now beginning to fight. Okay. All right, next page. Jada, are you ready?
Yes, Miss Amanda. I'm ready now.
Go ahead.
Okay. Many
Northerners
Northerners were that
were
Lincoln did not have the skills to lead the na-
nation.
nation in this triple time. He's to back backwards. He unprepared
Unpresidential.
and he tells too many silly jokes. He had to let
Little experience.
experience in government.
Okay, so people were saying especially many of the Northerners where Lincoln was and the stronghold he had. These are the people that agreed with the way he thought. But they felt that Lincoln, even though they believed he was right about slavery, they felt he was not strong enough to run a country during such a difficult time. They said he was backwoods, meaning that he was from the country, that he had lived a simple life. He didn't have enough experience. He's always joking around. He wasn't in government for a long time. He doesn't have the experience needed to lead the country during so much trouble. But he answered back and said, I'm reading at the bottom of 254, if I were to try to read, much less answer all the attacks made on me, this shop might as well be closed for any other business. I do the very best I know, the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing so until the end. So he said he's not going to answer people back that are making bad comments. He's going to continue to do the best he knows how to do and to do the best job that he possibly can to try to bring the country back together. Okay, next page. Leila, are you ready?
Yes,
Okay, Leila, go ahead, read.
we are on page number 255, yeah?
That's right.
Lincoln believed that true liberty could not permit slavery. He decided to use his wartime powers as commander-in-chief to end slavery. Emanation proclamation.
In the third year, you skipped the line. In the third year,
In the third year of the war, he issued the Emancipation
Emancipation Proclamation.
Proclamation. It freed over 3 million black men, women, and children, and called for black men to join the Union Army.
The Union Army.
In
Okay, so
giving freedom,
go ahead. Go ahead.
in giving freedom to the slavery, assure freedom to the free.
Okay,
Most
so 1 second. Lincoln, 3 years into the battle, they had been fighting for 3 years. He gave the Emancipation Proclamation. Remember, we said proclamation is when you make an important announcement?
yeah,
And he gave the Emancipation Proclamation that freed all the slaves. Now, he said that by giving them freedom, they ensured their own freedom because remember, they're still fighting a war for control of the country. So he says that by giving them the freedom, they're going to maintain freedom for everyone. Okay, continue, Layla.
okay. Most white Northerns obsessed Lincoln's proclamation, but they stood firm. I never in my life felt more certain that I was doing right than I do in signing this paper. My whole soul is in it.
Hey, remember how I told you he was affected by seeing the slaves and how he thought this was the wrong thing to do. And although many people opposed him, many people were against him, he felt that he was doing the right thing. So he freed the slaves and he ended slavery in America. And no matter how many people opposed him, he had to follow what he knew to be correct and to be the right thing. Okay? All
Thank
right, next page. Thank you, Leila. Next page. Mustafa?
I don't have a book.
I'm sorry?
Book
Huh?
isn't for me.
Where's your
Oh,
book? Where's your book, honey?
isn't for me.
Yes, sir. I'm asking you, where's your book? You told me it's not with you. Where is your book?
In my other room. mom's room.
Sorry?
It's in my mom's room.
It's in your another room? I can't tell what you're saying. Can you raise your voice? Okay, Mustafa, you need to get your book and have it ready when we read. You need
My
to
book?
come to class prepared, okay? All right, Pilar, you go ahead and read for us, please. Guys, remember, you have to come to class prepared so that you get participation grades. Okay, Pilar, whenever you're ready.
The word dragged on Lincoln grew sadder and sadder as more Americans died. He went to the jetty,
Gettysburg,
Gettysburg, but left
battlefield,
battlefield and again reminded the nation why this man had
sacrifice,
sacrificed their lives. 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this
continent,
continent a new nation conceived in liberty and decide
and dedicated.
this decade
Okay, dedicated.
dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Okay, thank you. So he went, Abraham Lincoln went again in the middle of the fighting in the Gettysburg Address. He announced to people, he made an address at Gettysburg Battlefield. It's known as the Gettysburg Address. And he said to the people that there's a reason why these people had to sacrifice their lives, and the fighting has gone on because we needed to do what is right. He says that 7 years ago, score means 20 years. 7 years ago means 87 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. This is the way the country was founded. America was founded on the premise, the proposition that all men are created equal. And so by not allowing the Negroes their freedom, we are not doing what our basic rule was when we started this country. We can't have certain people to be slaves when we said that we will start this country for freedom and that all men are created equal. All right, next page. Reem.
The
Emancipation Proclamation.
Emancipation Proclamation had freed slaves only in the states of territories that were in rebellion. Lincoln wanted slavery and ended in the entire nation. Most white lawmakers did not want this. He called them to the White House to convince them of what he knew was right. The moment came when I felt that slavery must die, that the nation might live. Finally, they agreed.
Thank you. Okay, so he brought the white lawmakers who did not agree with him to the Capitol so that they could all talk. And he tried to convince them while they were with him at the White House. He invited them to visit, and he tried to convince them that his way was correct, that if they did not make peace, not only would they continue to fight, but that the country would not survive. Okay, and that's what he said when he said that slavery has to die or the nation might not live. That if they continue to fight over slavery, that the United States of America was not going to be able to survive this war. Okay, Ragmini,
Yes,
read please.
yes,
Can you read please?
of course. In his second inaugural address, Lincoln
We're,
shared his.
hello, wrong. We're at page 257 finally.
Okay. Finally, they agreed in the fourth year of the war. Victory seemed clear of the moon, but Lincoln felt no joy. Hundreds of thousands of men on both sides had died in the battle. The country was deeply divided. Many Northerners wanted to punish the South for starting the war. Southerners were furious that the Union Army had destroyed their cities and burned homes and crops. Could the nation ever be one people again?
Thank you. Okay, so the North was winning the war, and it was, although they won the war and victory was very close for the Northerners, they weren't happy. Many people had died in this battle on both sides, many Northerners and many Southerners. And also, the South was destroyed. The battle took place in the South, and so the South was destroyed. Many homes, many businesses, many many monumental places, places that they wanted to keep. All of these places were destroyed. Their crops were destroyed. Their livelihood was destroyed. The way that they lived, how they made their money, all because of the fighting. So he wondered that even though they were about to win the war and they were about to take control of the South, would the country ever come together as a people again? Reem, please mute your mic when you finish speaking. Okay, I'm trying to mute you and I can't, and I hear you talking. Okay, thank you. Let's see. All right, Tia, can you continue for us, please?
In his second in, in, inaugural address, Lincoln shared his vision of how the country could heal itself.
Continue, honey.
With malice
Alice?
toward none, with
Firmness?
for all, with
Firmness?
in the right as God gives us to see right. Let us
Strive?
on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wants.
Okay. All right, so in the second address, the second presidential speech that he gave, he talked about how the country had to heal themselves, how that everybody had to not have anger towards other people, no malice, not wanting to hurt others. They had to have charity for all. Everybody must be willing to help each other. And they must believe that what they are doing is the right thing and stand by their decisions and do what is right. Okay? So they have to work together to heal the wounds created by the war. Okay, Wafa, finish for us, please.
Yes,
Go ahead, Wahba, finish for us, please.
the South finally surrendered. The job of healing the nation began, but Lincoln was not there to help. An assassin's bullet ended his life, but his words were there to guide those who chose to remember. It is for us, the living, rather that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth.
Okay. So before Abraham Lincoln was able to enjoy the fact that they had won the war, and before he could see that the nation had healed the wounds that happened because of the war fighting between each other, somebody shot him and killed him. Okay, an assassin. Someone came with the intention of killing him, and he was shot and he died. Okay, but his words were there. This is one of the things that he said that people remember about him. He said, "It's for the living that we resolve the dead." The people who died in the battle didn't die for no reason. They died because we are trying to do what's right, and we're trying to give a new birth of freedom to our country, meaning that now everyone is free. Not only some people have freedom, but everyone has freedom, the way the country was set up to be when it first started. And that the free country, America is known to be the freest country in the world, that this would not perish from the earth. It's not going to die from the earth, that a country could not exist with freedom for all people. Okay? All right. Yusuf and Yasin, I know you did not get to read. I have something for you tomorrow, okay, in our lesson, and you will read. Okay? All right. Let's move on. We have to do grammar. We want to get a few questions in for each of the pages that we have written down for today. Tahir, do you have a question? Hello, Tahir. Your hand is up, Tahir. Do you have a question?
No, I forgot to put it down.
Okay, see, and that your name wasn't in my list when I was calling people because you put your hand up. It raised your name to the top. So as I was going through the list, I didn't get your name. Okay, so I will try to find something for the three of you to read tomorrow. All right, let's do a couple of these exercises for the pages that we have. Yesterday, we were supposed to do comparing with more and most. All right, we are on page 338 in the language arts textbook. Page 338, language arts textbook. All right, we're going to start with number 11. We're only going to do a few exercises at each. Oh, actually, we don't have time. We have less than 1 minute on our meeting left. So they didn't give us extra time today. Sometimes they give us an extra 10 minutes. We didn't get any extra time. We will review tomorrow. We will add a few exercises from each of these tomorrow. Okay? Yes, Jamal.
Mr. Moon. Miss Amanda, I don't know that if we will have the quiz the first session or the second session.